I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Thank you so much for joining us here on this Monday evening. Hopefully you've had a fantastic day. We anticipate that we're going to have some warm weather this week. So if that's something that you're looking forward to, or that you, certainly after some of the colder weather we had last month, have been longing for, we have a number of those days going forward, quite a few of them with most days 70 or above, believe it or not. So spring-like warmth is ahead. Just how warm does that get for you? We're looking city by city at that coming up here in a couple of minutes. Rain is back later this week, though. It's not quite as impressive as it was last weekend. I know we didn't have really that much that was strong in the northern part of the state, but recapping last weekend's storms, pretty significant for some locations here across Mississippi, in particular, South Mississippi. We look at damage survey map across the state. As you can see, nothing really here in the northern part of the state. But believe it or not, between late Saturday night and early Sunday morning, we had 8 tornadoes so far that have been confirmed by the National Weather Service down there in Jackson. Now, as you can look at these, none of these are super long-lived, and we'll go more in detail about these here in a minute. But most of them, I believe 6 of them, 6 of them, at least reaching EF1 strength. So that's, fairly impressive tornadoes for as short-lived as many of those were, and most of them only occurring within a couple of hours, but certainly all south of Jackson and luckily all south of our area as well. As we go throughout the remainder of tonight, nothing like that, of course, in store. We'll be 62 at 6 p.m. We're 51 degrees by 9, 48 as we look toward midnight, and 47 by around 3 o'clock in the morning, with mid-40s around for the early morning hours on your Tuesday. We did have some fog around early today. Certainly a possibility to have some fog as we go into the overnight hours once again as well. Mississippi Live camera network here, again, brought to you by the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. We're out in Caledonia, showing up with, again, mostly clear skies, a few high, thin clouds out there, 68 current temperature at this hour, not a lot of lower level moisture, that dew point at 44, so still obviously drier here at the surface after the last storm system moved on out. Oxford, our camera there, coming in 66 as well. Again, that mix of cloud cover, and appreciate Phoenix Building Solutions for being a sponsor of us here on Mississippi Live Weather. On that camera there in Oxford, again, a beautiful shot of, again, high, thin clouds like this. A lot of times you can get one of those sun dogs that forms because they're made up of ice crystals. So if you look toward the western horizon, as that sun gets a little closer to it, you look like it's almost like there's a sun out there to the right or the left of that, depending on the cloud positioning. That's what we call a sundog. And I think certainly we'll get some shots of those in tonight because of those high, thin clouds we have out there. And West Point coming in 68 degrees. I'm looking closely there. That little gray that you see on our camera there in West Point was probably a controlled burn that was going on just a little bit ago. We got Mama Justice Doppler radar looking closely at that. You can kind of see that right there near Sessoms. Based on where that is, probably hitting the right height where out there toward the Noxubee Refuge there, wildlife refuge, they do some, controlled burns, things of that nature. But that return, not rainfall, that is that cloud of smoke, which isn't a cloud at all, but that plume of smoke that we had out there. Outside of that, nothing but clear air return showing up on Mama Justice Doppler radar across North Mississippi. Again, high, thin clouds. That is still the story for us, as high pressure down there into the Gulf of Mexico is our overall weather story at this time. So that keeping it dry and clear. You can even see, if you look closely there, just kind of the outline of some of the clouds that just never really fully broke today down south. And kind of the leftovers from some of that dense fog that we had earlier on. Much wider shot here shows an active pattern back toward the west coast. We show a couple things here, a couple different areas of spin circulation out here. Got one up toward the far northwest U.S. That'll eventually shift in. It's going to take a while, as we just have kind of a number of little waves that are going to move through our pattern this week. The first of those is the one we showed there closer to San Francisco, another one there off of the coast. I think the combination of these will bring some active weather, maybe even some severe weather chances to the north of us I'm not impressed by our chances as far as severe weather concerned this week, but I think we will probably see some showers and thunderstorms as those eventually move toward our area. But we still have a few days before that, which is why we're primarily dry. And the cloud cover does increase for tonight. You can see in the Delta in particular, all the way stretching from Hattiesburg to Jackson there. We're on the backside of that high pressure center. And when that happens, you get winds out of the Gulf of Mexico. That brings that cloud cover up. And so that's a sign at least of some of that returning moisture that we have out there. So cloudy overnight, maybe some fog part of this. In fact, I think it's likely that some of this will end up being fog for early tomorrow morning. As you can see, hour by hour there, though, we should stay dry, though that does show just the littlest bit of green. That green is maybe some drizzle that if it gets really, really moist out there, I don't necessarily think for most of us that'll be the case, but not impossible to get just a little bit of that for about that long tomorrow morning before hopefully we start to clear things out a little bit. So over the next 24, from 46 in the morning, we'll be 56 degrees by 9 a.m. By noontime, we're 67, 70 by 3 p.m. under mostly clear skies. By, I think by the afternoon, at least, hopefully getting the mostly clear there. 70 is way above our normal, and those southerly winds going to provide more of a warm up over the course of the next couple of days. If we see more sunshine, certainly that will help as well. Coming up in 60 seconds, we'll look at how far this warm up progresses. Check out the rain chances as we go throughout this work weekend and break down your complete 7-day forecast as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
Game day brings its ups and downs. Celebration and disappointment. Anxiety and relief. Friends and enemies. You can always argue over who should have won, but everyone can agree on great food. Appetizers, entrees, drinks, party platters, or even the taste of sweet victory. There's something for every season at Eat With Us restaurants.
Save today at Room to Room's President's Day sale. 55% off furniture and mattresses, 20% off accessories,
and 24-month special financing.
The time to act is now.
Room to Room Tupelo, where we know there's no place like your home.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog, but she's little.
Do you have any unlocked guns around the house?
We do have a gun, but it's stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah, of course.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovhawn.
We're clear outside this evening on Mama Justice Doppler radar. As anticipated, we don't have much in the way of precipitation. Our air fairly dry here close to the surface. Thank you so much again for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather. Again, there are a few things that we always kind of watch as these patterns, as these fronts come through the area in this sort of time period. One of them is, again, that ebb and flow of lower level moisture there. It's something we always talk about in spring. And of course, we'll hear in the Room to Room Weather Center with high pressure basically kind of right here in the Gulf of Mexico. As that eventually slides eastward, we start opening the Gulf up, and eventually more of this lower level moisture will come in. But we've kind of scoured anything of meaningful moisture way down in the Gulf. So I think there's just not enough deep moisture after this last storm system came through to provide any sort of significant chances for active or severe weather for us. Really this week, it just does not look like our chances are very good. In fact, we go over those severe weather chances for the week here. As you can see for really today, again, no threat out there of concern, nor for tomorrow, nor for your Wednesday. The first threat that shows up anywhere in the lower 48 is actually for Thursday, for locations up north of us. You might say, well, hold on, how is that the case? Well, sometimes you can have stronger upper level winds. It doesn't necessarily take as much of all the same ingredients to produce severe weather to the north of us. We'll see how this plays out this week. But I think the positioning of everything luckily does not look particularly impressive for storms for us that end up being strong to severe, and hopefully that remains the case. One thing that does look likely as we go throughout this week is that it will be warm. I mean, normal this time of year should be 58 degrees. Instead, we're 70 today. We'll be about 70 again for tomorrow, 72 for Wednesday, up to near 80 for Thursday. And yeah, we'll drop things, I think, behind our next storm system a little more than we did this time around. The most recent front that came through, a Pacific front, more dry air than anything else. That's why we're still warm behind it. That's why, of course, it shoved all that moisture down into the Gulf of Mexico. But some cooler temperatures eventually there on the way. As we check out our IMPC school bus forecast tomorrow morning, 48 not a lot of complaints in February and 48 degrees. Still maybe obviously a light jacket for the kids if they're out there very long waiting at the bus stop. Will be 70 by the time we pick up the kids from school in the afternoon, and should be, again, dry and mostly clear. Again, one of those signs that we have that high pressure just a little east of us is that cloud cover coming up. So we sometimes refer to this as return flow, and to a certain extent that's returning lower level moisture, at least a limited amount of that kind of coming northward in the area. And so that is this cloud cover and fog that will sort of spread throughout for the first part of your morning on Tuesday. So again, widespread cloud cover and fog. We do show just a little bit of drizzle out here. I'm interested. We will look at this in more detail when we show up on Futurecast looking toward tomorrow. Don't expect this to really amount to hardly anything. It's just a sign that, hey, there's some moisture out there, and that's where that fog could end up being the densest down toward the south and east, where really the cloud cover hasn't really broken all day long. We're at 45 in Bruce for that low temperature tomorrow morning, 46 degrees Houston and Eupora. Typically should be 37, so everybody way above that. I mean, almost to 50 there in Greenwood as well as Belzona, 46 Kosciuszko, and 46 degrees in Eupora, 47 there into the Starkville area. So widespread clouds, those continue to be around here 9, 10 o'clock in the morning on your Tuesday. There's that little bit of green. And again, this might be some drizzle. I think Futurecast probably overdoing this a little bit, but it's a way to say, hey, there's more moisture out there than what we had today. We just don't have any of the other components for any kind of active weather with this. So the clouds stick around, maybe breaking a little bit more in the afternoon, but I think if they stay as thick as this, that's one of the reasons why temperatures don't increase versus where they are for today. So mostly cloudy skies. We'll go 71, the high temperature in Water Valley, 69 degrees there in Oxford, and Senatobia coming about 69, 72 in Kosciuszko, about 73 degrees in Eupora, and most locations somewhere in the upper 60s to lower 70s. And we expect, again, we'll stay mostly dry into tomorrow night and keep that cloud cover fairly widespread and around. So we're still, again, east of that high pressure center, west of that high pressure center, east of our next front. And the more active weather with this front, again, up there closer to the plain. So again, with clouds, we don't drop too terribly quickly for tomorrow night. And so that's why we can have a little bit of that green around, maybe the possibility of a little bit of drizzle. But notice how warm these temperatures are starting Wednesday morning. 57 Belzona, Greenwood, 56 degrees in Grenada, Eupora about 56, 56 for Columbus, and coming in about 57 in New Albany and 57 degrees in the Tupelo area. So rainfall chances, again, keeping those very limited on Wednesday. Again, just mainly mostly cloudy skies over top of us. A slightly better chance for maybe a little bit of drizzle. But I think as our next front comes in, while we have slightly more moisture, notice it's just such a quick mover that it doesn't really initiate much. Maybe a couple of isolated showers showing up Canton back toward Louisville. We're about to change over between our HRRR model that sometimes overdoes cloud cover a little bit to our strike model that's a little more conservative. It does have things trying to break up a little bit more, but again, just the littlest bit of green. So rain chances aren't zero the next couple of days, but I think anything we see is mainly drizzle, not going to be particularly impressive. So temperatures, I think, sluggish to increase versus if we had completely sunny skies, where we see more sunshine, and we will see more sunshine for Wednesday down here in Louisville. You'll reach 75 Starkville, 76 Columbus and Macon. But if we have even a little bit more cloud cover at all, it's going to be more low 70s like what we're showing up there in Water Valley and for Oxford. So way above our normal for this time of the year. And a lot of times it's like, ooh, we're above normal, bringing in more moisture. What does that mean as far as storm chances are concerned? And I just, again, not impressed by those largely. Let's I think we should be able to walk through a bunch of different versions of Futurecast here for a moment to kind of finish things out. So the first quick moving frontal system already east of us at that point. Another one kind of coming in from the north and west here late Wednesday night. As we talked about a minute ago, out here toward Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, there is a level 2 severe weather risk, which is as low as they go this time period out. And still a quick moving storm system there. For us, we're still bringing up a little moisture, but I think if this is going to produce some storms, you could see more of those up there toward the Ohio Valley than what we have down here into Mississippi. So this front, though, starts moving very slowly by Thursday. And as it progresses in, notice we do have some rain chances that start showing up by Thursday midday. These could get going and maybe include a rogue rumble with these late Thursday. We're at 20% on that rain coverage right now. I'm interested to see if the strike model, which we have here, verifies on this. Again, more miss than hit, But again, some lighter variety showers just ahead of this front, a possibility late into your Thursday evening with a more significant chance for storms and severe weather up to the north. So that same front still kind of hanging out close. And if you come in really close, I could argue maybe for a little bit of yellow showing up on here on a few of those, which is where a rogue rumble could come in, but just not particularly impressed. And even back out there into Alabama, where we showed a little heavier for early Friday morning. Again, not particularly impressive. I do have other projections that are a little heavier than this. The European, which I like a lot, has slightly more activity on this as far as showers and thunderstorms are concerned Thursday night and into Friday here, and then possibly Friday and into Saturday. But the majority of the activity, again, fairly south of us as well. So looking at the 7-day forecast, we're 70 on that high temperature for tomorrow, 72 for Wednesday, and then practically 80 by your Thursday. And that's more moisture from the Gulf. That's more sunshine. And again, that's the difference, because while clouds are going to rule the next 2 days, we go mostly sunny for at least part of Thursday there. And so temperatures boost up. A few isolated showers there possible. And then for Friday, as that front's kind of sitting overhead, that's something that maybe we missed a second ago when we were looking at that. That front kind of stalls sort of overhead, and so we'll continue to try to initiate some showers and thunderstorms, I think, into Friday. But the majority of that activity that's any stronger, it's largely south, but I think it really is kind of about halfway cut through the area into our Saturday as well. So first part of Saturday, some rain chances there. And then behind this, we do drop things down a bit more by Sunday and Monday, with those temperatures back into the middle 50s to maybe some lower 50s out there as we look toward the first part of next week. So those temperatures going a bit cooler, a lot cooler than we've gone this time around once we look toward the far extended forecast there. We appreciate everybody for watching us here, our various chats online. Appreciate everybody for watching. And for supporting us. I do see Marlins 93 mentioning Gulf of America. And let me just say this. I don't know if I will ever learn Gulf of America, and it's not for lack of trying. It's just for lack of paying attention, as any wife would understand with their husband. My brain, is so focused on weather that I just default back to, Gulf of Mexico, whether it's Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, the Gulf is an important part of what, helps us to track any kind of active weather. And so we always look for that Gulf moisture and the fuel that goes along with that working its way northward. So Gulf moisture is always really important. And one of the things that we'll look at with that, and I think we can look at an extended example of this, is looking at the instability or fuel, or sometimes we'll call it CAPE. So I'm going to look at the CAPE from our 3-kilometer model here, our high-res model for a moment, just to see how much of that actually does make it northward into our area here. Because we're at kind of the farthest extent we can show this. And we will have, even a better look at this coming up at 6 o'clock. But you notice there's just not a lot of fuel out there over the course of the week. We referenced kind of Thursday where there was a little more fuel up north. Fuel is a combination of both moisture and heating, and that's part of the reason why up north there was a slightly better chance for that, as you can see there for Thursday where the storms are. For us, even into Friday, as you can see here, through Friday midday, just not a lot of fuel out there for thunderstorms to work off of. So this is not a setup that's likely to turn severe this week. And when we kind of look at even beyond that, let's go even farther than that. We'll look at our GFS model, which can go 2 weeks out. Just kind of give you a long range, quick look here at any potential for active or severe thunderstorms there. It's just not a lot of great chances, thankfully, going forward. I think I should go 3. Yeah, let's go look at that. So we'll look really long out at this, and we can kind of talk more about this again at 6 o'clock. I almost zipped past it for a second there, and this is a lower resolution projection. But this shows, again, for late Thursday, maybe just for a blip in time, a little bit of fuel. This does show for Friday significantly more than what our high-res strike model has. So more fuel out there, at least on that particular projection. And it does stay close enough to us that Saturday, if we were to tap into that, that would have more of a storm chance along with it as well. There are some things that are kind of out of place on that. And if you go beyond that into next week, you got to go weekend after that before maybe we have, again, some more significant fuel out there in the extended. So there are some chances. More often than not, though, probably going to be talking about non-severe thunderstorms this week. Hopefully that's the case, and on that 7-day forecast there. At this point, Friday, still what we're looking at. We will see if that American model continues to kind of build northward on that over the next couple of days. That's one of the things, again, we'll talk more about coming up at 6 o'clock here from the Room to Room Weather Center. We're also breaking down those tornadoes from this weekend because We had, believe it or not, 8 tornado touchdowns in the Magnolia State late Saturday night and early Sunday morning. One of the reasons we're just so blessed here in North Mississippi that we missed out on that. Unfortunately, some folks did not down south and had some damage related to that. We'll go tornado by tornado through that list coming up during our 6 o'clock broadcast. We thank you so much for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather. We'll see you at 6.
By the time you see the symptoms of lung cancer, it could be too late. Now there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early. If you smoked, get scanned.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.